Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Neal first webinar for OnCommand Connection. I want to take a few minutes and introduce the Neal staff as well as IC Bus. So from IC Bus, we have Alan Stegich. He is the service manager, fleet service manager for IC Bus. From Neal, we have our sales team, Barry Benish, Joey Kometz, and Michelle Bray, and myself, Scott Bowen. I'm the VP of Sales. From service, we have Marcia Abbott, and marketing, we have Everett Marshall. So again, I'm going to turn it over to Alan and to get started.
Well, thank you, Scott, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first customer service event. I'm excited, happy to be part of this for our bus dealer at Neal. I've worked with them for several years. A great team to work with. I'm Alan from IC Bus, and what I'm going to do is, today we're going to talk a little bit about telematics, more about navigating the service portal and the tools that are available at your fingertips. And I say that, and I go back a few years, with a red box with wheels to go up to a vehicle and start fixing it. So we're going to talk a little bit about telematics. I'm going to kind of go through the slides. If you've got any questions at any time, please be free to chime in. We're going to talk about telematics. We're going to go through the service portal. We're going to talk about a health report, fault code action plan. We're going to go into diagnostics. All this is just a click away using hyperlinks. And then we're going to go live. I'm going to take you from Maryland all the way to Michigan. And we're going to go visit one of my friends. This is Huron Valley here in Michigan, out by Milford, the GM Proving Grounds. So the OnCommand suite of solutions for our customers and certainly for our dealers, we have a lot that's available through the service portal. You have OnCommand Knowledge, which is about training. You have OnCommand Control, OnCommand Education. You can go into the program we're going to talk to today. We're going to talk about the OnCommand Connection, which is using telematics. Next screen, please. So what is telematics? It's a box that's in the bus. It's plugged into the 1939 to the data link. And what it does, it transpons stuff up into the clouds, the big data thing, storage. And then if you, as an example, if you have Zonar, it comes back down into your laptop or your desktop, and you can get that kind of information from the cloud. If you have any type of telematics, we have a system that we use at Navistar. We sell to our customers through our dealers. You can also use Geotab, you can use Zonar, any of them, Tyler as an example. But the bottom thing is there's this connection of the vehicle to the cloud and to a customer. And, whether it's about GPS, where is the bus? It's about, as we see it in the service categories, what do you do when you got a light on the dash? The driver calls and says, I got this light on the dash. What am I supposed to do? So the technology is a lot of it, some of it's satellite. The majority of it is usually cellular. And then, of course, there's Wi-Fi. But it's basically a box in the bus plugged into the 1939 to the data link. And then it transmits up into the clouds. Next screen, please. So what do we do with it? We can do fuel management, fuel tax reporting, driver safety. We can actually we can get software to look at how the driver is driving the bus, whether they're very aggressive. Working with a local customer here in Michigan, they have it. And one of the things that is important to them is everybody in Michigan speeds, as you know. And certainly you don't want a yellow bus loaded with kids doing 60 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. So they can get that kind of information through telematics. productivity, service information, and of course, the next generation now is out there in the business is electronic driver logs. Next, please. Thank you, Marcia. So we've got a vehicle. What I see, what I want to work with, what I do every day is work with a customer, work with a national fleet, work with a dealer. They have a light on the dash and they have a concern. So telematics takes that DTC through the telematics device, transmits it, and makes it visible on a screen. It could be on your phone, it could be on your laptop, however you want it to come through, or both, of course. Next, please. So it's a remote diagnostic process. It'll increase vehicle uptime because it's almost instantaneous. We're talking in minutes. Certainly decrease the cost per student for transportation because you become more proactive in the repairs rather than reactive. You know, how many of you have had drivers that they'll drive the bus with no matter how many lights are on the instrument panel, as long as the wheels turn around, right? Because it's their bus, it's all set up for them and for their kids. So most importantly today, what we will talk about is that it's able to streamline the communications between you and Neal and Navistar. And that's the link. That's very important. You know, for customers that are in remote areas, too far away. And I've driven in Baltimore and Washington. I lived in Leesburg at one time, 2.5 hours to get downtown DC. So I know about transportation and the terrible roads. So this is an opportunity to make this communication process very, very easy. Out there at the school districts, helps the process from dispatch, drivers, and technicians, and we'll talk more about that. It's all make capabilities. If you ever watch those TV commercials about safe drivers, what do you think's in that vehicle? It's a box, it's telematics, and what are they doing? They're monitoring your speed. Are you doing 55 and a 45, or are you a quote safe driver? So, and the best part is our system OnCommand connection for service utilizes just about everybody's telematics hardware, as I've mentioned before. Next screen, please. So what do I see out of this? What do we do every day? What does Marcia's team do, Neal service team do every day? They'll go in and they can monitor the vehicle. They can pull up the screens. They can look at this fault code severity, scheduled maintenance, fault families, advanced filtering, blah, blah, blah. But most importantly, health reports, vehicle GPS location, access to the service portal, and certainly repair advocate and service partner, some other programs that we have in the system. Next, please. So you'll hear me harp about this. In order to repair the vehicle, we have to have access to the service portal or the dealer, certainly, so that we can start the process. And using this service portal access can help you navigate through by hyperlinks to diagnose the vehicle, find the parts, understand what tools you need, who has the parts, and certainly repair the vehicle. Next slide, please. So once we have access, we have telematics. Now we have a vehicle with a concern. We can go into the service portal. We go into that front page that we just showed you. Then we click on connection and we see the information coming from the telematics device. And the next thing we're going to do is click on that. We're going to get a health report. Next slide. So I just kind of threw this in here because if you're looking here, this is a health report, but it's kind of different from what you've seen before. And if you look real seriously at this, you'll see that it's Martinsburg Fire Department. So Alan, what are we talking about ambulances for? Well, this is one of our customers. They have telematics, they have OnCommand, and I was helping them with their vehicles, and I would get this on my cell phone. And the nice part about it was I get this, the lights on the dash, I can send an email out to the chief and I can say, you've got a vehicle right now and it looks like the engine oil needs to be serviced. And, you know, bring it in, change the oil, and you should be good to go. And that's what telematics does. It makes it easy. So let's talk about the health report. So I've clicked on connection. I've clicked on the health report. What we get from the health report is vehicle information, miles, hours, unit number, etc. Active and recalls and campaigns. Most importantly, fault codes, the description, the count, the time, the location, the weather, and many other key data points. Next slide, please. So the big screen here. So if you have telematics, you have access to the service portal. You can see the dashboard there. This is the information that you will look at every morning at your vehicles, or Marcia can work with you, Neal can work with you and pull up that information. They go to the health report. Then we're going to go to the action plan. This is the questions you'll ask the bus driver. This is the information for you to help do the diagnostics. In that action plan is some hyperlinks that will take you directly to the service manual, directly to the diagnostics to repair that vehicle. And if you would like, you can even do repair estimates, etc. And certainly there's mapping and stuff. There's fleet health reports that we do for some large fleets. They get an Excel file once a week, and they can go back to their locations and say, you know, we need to work on these vehicles, etc. Next slide, please. So fault code action plan. So what it is, provides quick and concise information to help road breakdowns teams, fleet managers, drivers, and technicians. And if you look at the severity, the derate condition, the stop now, service immediately, service soon, and maintenance. Questions ask the driver to better understand the conditions. I see you got a light on the dash. Instead of the driver calling you, you can actually call the driver and say, you got a light on the dash. Here's what you need to do. Most importantly for us, for service, it links to diagnostic and repair information, plus the training videos. So in this, probably the last 10 years, we have worked hard with this process. And, you know, IT people, service engineers, service people. So you have an action plan. We have a fault ranking to help you start working through this, you know, because maybe you got multiple DTCs. They will give you guided questions. The parts radar is, they will say most likely you'll have this part will need to be replaced based on the code, based on information that we have obtained. And the part is actually located at Neal, as an example. This impact report, tremendous amount of information, and we'll see that in a little bit. One of the things the industry has done with DTCs, if they created synthetic DTCs, how many times have you clicked on, used your diagnostic tool and you found out you got a load of a ton of DTCs? Which one do I work on first? Many times manufacturers, including us at Navistar, will take from data, we'll take these DTCs and say, if you have this, this, and this, we will create a synthetic DTC, and that will encompass all those DTCs and give you the one to start with. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. Next piece is skill level. Through this impact report, if you're sending this work out, and Neal does the same, that Hang on, folks. In a dealership, vehicle comes in and the service writer, the accelerated service lane, they will pull the codes, they'll look at the health report, they'll look at this, and they can get into the impact report and they can say, well, the skill level is, this is an easy one, it's a coolant level sensor code, blah, 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 and I can give it to this person to work with. Or maybe it looks like it's going to be engine work and I need to get it to my best guy that does engines. So skills level, virtual triage, the ability to use that RIP report and levels along the average time to do the repair. Next, please. So if you don't have telematics, if you don't have access to the service portal, this is the tool, very inexpensive, that you could use, and you will Bluetooth to your phone. And when you have a light on the dash, and it doesn't matter whether it's a Thomas bus, it's a Bluebird bus, or it's an IC, you link this to your phone and you simply turn on the key on the vehicle, plug this into the data link, push the little button, and what it'll do is it'll set a health report. A little bit different than ours, but it'll give you the information needed. And as an example, it will create that health report. And let's say that you're handling 70 buses and you've only got one technician. So maybe you could call the Neal team and say, I've got a bus that's got a light on the dash and I'm really overwhelmed right now with state inspections, blah, blah, blah. Can you guys look at the health report and give me some help, assistance? And they could very easily pull that up in the service portal, and they could come back and say, it's the left front wheel speed sensor. You want us to send you down the part, or let me walk you through the diagnostics. So it's a great way, especially if you're in remote areas, to be able to work with the dealer, to communicate with them, rather than, this is what I used to get. First, I had ambulances and severe service vehicles, and it was the chief would call and say, I've got this ambulance and it's got a light on the dash. What do I do? What am I supposed to tell them to do, right? I'm not trying to be smart. It's like, I don't know. Can you pull the codes? I don't know anything about this stuff. You know, we're in fire and rescue. Well, let's take it to the dealer. Let's see what they can find. Well, if they had this tool, they could create the health report. If they had telematics and OCC, I could say, Chief, you need to change the oil in this because it looks like it's got low oil pressure, right? You saw that in my previous screen. Great tool, very inexpensive, around that $100 mark, but it's Bluetooth. You link it with your phone. It'll help you in repairing the vehicles, and most importantly, it sets the health report. Next slide, please. So, Alan, I want to have telematics on my buses, but I still want the diagnostic port available for service. Well, you can buy this this cable here, and as you can see here, one terminal is going to plug into the diagnostic terminal. It's going to plug into the ending resistor in the 1939 circuit. And then you'll have a drop for the for diagnostics, and on the other end you'll connect the telematics device. Great tool. Next. So in a moment here, we're going to go to Huron Valley. So Perron Valley is very close to my house. They're like an hour away, and they wanted something to help them in their servicing of their buses, and got involved with them, and they went to OCC Telematics. They bought our devices. They went in OCC, and just to get an idea, they got about 70 buses, 70 units assigned to routes with 10 spares, okay? Long routes, This is 30,000 miles a year. And interesting enough, 85% dirt roads for this fleet, this school district. But first off, after they purchased the units and the telematics and the online connection, first thing they notice is that they were actually reducing their operation expense roughly about $1,200 a year. And most importantly, it was about uptime. Next slide, please. So how does this work? DJ goes in the morning. He looks at the status of his fleets on his screen first thing. He red tags the unit so that the bus driver can't take that unit that has all the lights on the instrument panel, okay? If the drivers call in saying they've got a light on the dash, he can log into OCC immediately and see what the severity and give them advice accordingly. It has reduced his number of tows, obviously, reduced the downtime by 25%. As you know, most drivers don't report lights on the dash. He's saved money on emission systems, fuel pumps, injection systems, etc., because now he's proactive. Able to drain the oil or change the fuel filters to avoid major repairs. Maintenance costs has been reduced. One thing he noticed is his technicians have typically 3 more work orders per day. So yeah, but here's what he has most importantly. They are proactive now. They are driving the airplane. And rather than having a bus on the side of the road loaded with kids saying Huron Valley, they have the bus in their shop. Next, please. So, as always, it comes down to money, right? So last year, we were up there doing some training with them, and Tammy had asked, she says, you know, the board wants to know, how do you put a cost on this? So we said 5 repair orders every day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, because they run all year. Half hour to discuss the driver about the lights, get the keys, walk out to the yard, connect with the laptop, pull the codes, bring the bus in the shop. Pretty typical, right? Additional hour for the technician to secure a service manual, search for diagnostic tools, needed parts, you know, that walk around the shop that I used to do when I was a young guy, all right? So we said it's about $117,000. And to get down to the bottom line here, with telematics, we're looking at $39,000. So we're saving money because we're being proactive. Next slide, please. So this is Huron Valley. If you go on to their website, good people, as mentioned, about 90 school buses, 80 in service, and good people to work with. Next, please. So if you learn anything at all today, and these slides, this presentation will be available for you, but if you learn anything at all today, and I don't care if it's a propane vehicle, a gas unit, a diesel unit, a CNG unit, every vehicle out there has 1939 protocol, as you know. Every vehicle has DTCs. Every vehicle has a DTC, and then it'll have a fault code indicator, right? So let's talk about FMIs. When you're repairing a vehicle, it's important that when you pull the DTCs, the first thing that you need to be looking at is looking for the DTCs that have FMI codes 3, 4, 5, and 19. The reason? Those are DTCs set because the circuit of the component has failed. Obviously, the component may not be needed to be replaced because if it's not getting you're not sending out the 5-volt reference, you're not getting back the reference signal, it doesn't have a ground, okay, because of a short and open or high resistance, you know, obviously you're going to get a DTC, and you don't want to make the mistake of replacing the component and then finding out that you've got a bad circuit, you know, corrosion as an example, bad wire. So first thing we do is look at the DTCs, look at the FMIs. I look for 3, 4, 5, or 19. That helps me identify that I need to do a check. Okay. And I got an IAT signal code. All right, so what do you got? And what's the FMI? And he tells me that, you know, he's got a 5 and the 5 isn't open. I said, well, you need to follow the wires. Don't replace the IAT. You need to chase the wires. And we give them a continuity test, right, with a DVOM. The second thing that we look at is the component. So if you've got a 2, 7, 11, 13, 14, then what it's saying is the component has failed or the operation of the system. Okay. The third group of FMI codes, 0, 1, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 31. Those are performance indicators. That says like, you know, I commanded the EGR to open up. Then I should see a change, right, in the exhaust. I should see some changes in the engine. And I don't see that. Okay, that tells me that there's a performance problem. So you need to go back up and say, is it because of a wiring problem? Is it because of a component? Classic example, OBD2. The charge air cooling system has to check to see if it's working properly on OBD2 vehicles. They put a temp sensor on this because they're looking at the air management to see if, you know, the charge air system is operating at the correct temperature. So good stuff. Next slide. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to take control of the program and we're going to go live at Huron Valley, and I'll save this slide here when we get back. So hopefully I can do this right.
Does anyone have any questions?
Okay. Are we good? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. So just want to let you know where we are. So we're in OnCommand, and we're going to go to see my friend DJ. And by the way, DJ's like my age, so old dogs can learn new tricks. So we're at Huron Valley Schools. And what I'm going to do is they have been running on and off with COVID. So I'm going to just kind of fill this all up, right? Because I want to make sure that we have something to talk to. And then I'm going to hit search. All right. So you can see here, there's a unit number 55. Here's the last 8 of the VIN. It's a IC bus. It's a 2015 with a MaxForce DT. It's got telematics. This is the time when the code was set, May 14th. Okay, excuse me, today's time, Huron Valley, and here's DJ's address. And you can kind of click on these, all right? This is a stop now, all right? This one here is service immediately. This is D-rate. So this one's got a bunch of codes. And I picked this because we're gonna work through this one. So as you can see, this is a bus that you wanna take the keys away from the driver. So let's look at the vehicle. So now we went to the service portal. All right, so we're at Huron Valley. Okay, we get the information on the vehicle. As you can see, it's 6 years, 8 months in service. There were some extended service contracts on the vehicle. There is no updates for any campaigns or recalls, AFCs. Engine information here. All right, and we can go through all of these if we wanted, if we had the time, but what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about diagnostics, right? So let's go and, come on, let's look at the health report. So I'm going to pull my screen up here. Let me know if you guys are staying with me on the screen. I did one of these presentations a couple of weeks ago, and I was having problems getting through the internet. So I went out and kind of clicked on these screens ahead of time, and I thought that everything would be good. And I lost the whole class until somebody piped up and said, Alan, we're still back at the original screen. So let me know if you're with me.
I can see your page loading and the ID that you just clicked on.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
So,
sir.
this is the golden rule, the most famous screen of all is the health report, right? So the bus has got 102,000 miles, 13,915 gallons of fuel went through it. He's averaging 7.34 miles per gallon. He's got 6,000 hours plus on this. Here's the engine serial number. Here's the engine information. All right, here's the telematics when it happened, when this was pulled. This DTC, last GPS, it's at 201 Lone Tree Road, Highland Township, Oakland County. Okay, so this is kind of neat. See, it says warning lapse. So if you went out to the yard, put your keys in this unit, turn the keys on, these are the lights that are on the dash. So if you have OCC telematics and you're on your screen and you happen to look at a bus, you could actually call, if this bus was running down the road right now, I could actually call the driver and said, you got some lights on your dash? Like, do you have a triangle upside down on? Do you have a mill light on the little engine? What about this one where it says stop? Have you got that light on, right? So this is live. So first thing off here, there was an update for oil systems for crankcase breather to go external. And if you could see here for information, this vehicle was not allowed because of emissions. So now I'm looking at, oh my God, Alan, what do we do here? We've got all these DTCs, right? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to look at these, right? The first one here is a 5, right? So that means it's a component, injector. Well, okay, it says the injector, closed coil, open circuit. So that injector, that component is not working. But if you look at the code, it's a 5, so it means there's a circuit problem, which means it's a wiring problem. And then 18 is a performance. Well, if it's an 18, it's performance. Why is it going to work if the component's not working because there's a wire problem? How is it going to perform correctly, right? 31, again, is a performance, cylinder misfire. So lots of things are working here. 0, once again, system performance. Diesel particulate soot level. Well, looks up here, we've got an injector problem. We got another injector problem, 6-cylinder engine running on like 2, missing on 2 cylinders. Okay. And then you got 31, you got another misfire. What I don't know, and you guys are smarter than I, okay. When you look at this circuit up on top, I would probably go for the circuit first because maybe there's a problem with the harness underneath the valve cover, right? And if that harness is shorting out, if that harness is, damaged, we're going to have a whole bunch of cylinders missing because that harness is grounding, maybe on a rocker. So I think you can see the logic here. If you look for 3, 4, 5, 19, that's wiring, and the component can't work if the wiring is a problem. Okay, and obviously the system can't perform properly because the wiring is bad, the component is not operating as necessary. So you see a lot of good information here. Now, back down here, crossing gate output is undercurrent. You know, those are electrical, and this is some information. As an example, I had a ton of ambulances for a long time, and we would see a lot of electrical faults. As an example, when they have the horn pad wired into, they flip a switch and they have the horn pad wired into for the siren, right? So every time they would push the horn pad for the siren, the horn circuit would have an undercurrent because the relay was tripping the, instead of a load with the horns, it was tripping a relay for the siren. So let's take this one, and the one we want to look at is obviously the 5. So we're going to click on the DTC because it's a hyperlink. So here's my fault code action plan. Injector 1, close coil, open circuit, service immediately. Maybe about 8 hours to get in there, right? So engine concern, okay, and you can see here service information. All right, here's some questions that you can ask. Default selected intermittently, is it flashing, no, or false or yes? So we can kind of go through there and say, is flashing, driver question, has the vehicle got low power? And we can kind of work through these questions for the driver if we want to, okay? And has there been any change in engine performance? Well, yeah, I guess I'm going to put here, okay. Then what I'm going to do is, guess what? I'm going to click on here, and it's going to take me into the service manual. So here's my instructions for the service. Here's my wiring diagram. Okay, and here's my checks. Well, we kind of figured this, right? Anybody would say if they've had a lot of experience, well, you got to pull the valve cover off and you need to look at the harness, right? And it looks like injector 1 through 6 connectors, huh? Check the resistance of each injector. But here's the diagnostics. Here's what makes it easy for you to work with, you know. And if you want to put down electronic service tool, so I think what you can see here is this makes it so easy. You know, in my time, you rolled the box up and then you went and found the service manual. You had to thumb through the pages and then you got into it, and then you might have had to go out and get a wiring diagram. All this information is here at your fingertips. And that's what I wanted to show today. I'm going to go back one and go back 2 pages, excuse me. Geez, let's see where we are here. So I talked about this RIP report, okay? I wanted to show you that also. Hopefully it'll come up here. This is where the health report expanded. We have expanded the health report to help everyone. Hopefully we'll get through here. There we go. So, pretty good information here, as we mentioned before. Labor time, here's what you got here. We have a plan overall, 12 out of 14 faults, service codes on this repair, an action plan to aid you repairing the vehicle. Confidence of where we need to go is like 90%. Um, possible parts. Here's some information on parts, part count, labor time. I like this, 79 hours. I guess that's doing an overhaul, right? 79 hours, 30 minutes. Skill techs, we're looking at 5 out of 12 plans are for skill rated, okay? Where we're at parts radar, we can go 60 miles radius and see who's got some parts. I hope this comes through. Service codes, if you needed to do the ranking, the diagnostic steps, okay, special instructions, labor time, parts, okay. I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. Harness, fuel injector, here's your part number, here's your injector part number, fuel rail pressure, here's your information on those parts. We talked about the catalyst. Here's some part numbers here. So you can kind of see that a lot of information, sometimes too much, so to speak, but it's there, it's available for you through this RIP report. Tools, training needed, questions, warranty codes if you're doing that, call out summary related parts we talked about, and feedback. So a ton of information, and we did this all in what? 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. So we didn't go out to the bus. We didn't plug in with a scan tool. We didn't talk to the driver. What we had is we had a heads up information by logging on the system in the morning like DJ does. He looks at this, he looks at his screen, he looks at the vehicles that are service immediately, stop now. He pulls the keys so that the drivers can't go out with this bus. So he's not embarrassed to have his bus on the side of the road. He pulls the keys, he distributes the keys to the technicians. They have access to this information that we just went through, and they repair the vehicle. That's how simple it is. Much easier than the old days of, going out there, talking to the driver, going out there, pulling the codes, bringing the vehicle in, and start the repair process. So I thought that was, I wanted to hope that was very helpful for you guys today. So basically, if you've got telematics, OnCommand connection is easy to do. You can work with Neal to have them support you on that. If you don't have access to the service portal, I would highly recommend getting that diagnostic link from Nexic. It'll make your life easy, and you can work back with the Neal team. And I created a health report. Can you help me with it? Whether it's technical or they pull it up and say, hey, looks like a wheel speed sensor, and let me get one out to you. So tremendous opportunity, tremendous value working with telematics. I get excited about this, as you can probably see, because it really makes life a lot easier. The service portal, I've been kind of doing this with Navistar for the last 6-7 years, about 8 years or so, and I still haven't learned everything that's in the service portal. And certainly the hardest part is probably navigating. The information's there, it's just navigating to get there. But that's what that health report does. It starts the process. So if we can create it with telematics, we can create it with a diagnostic link, it's easy. Any questions?
Alan, thank you for going through all this. Excuse me. If anybody's got any questions, down at the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A button and also a chat button. Just click on that and you can type your question. If you want to be unmuted, just let us know. We'll unmute you. So we'll give it a few minutes. But Alan, I appreciate your time today. very good to go through all that. I know it's a ton of information. Even for the people who kind of work in this stuff every day, it's a lot to kind of digest. But now I think a lot of the counties are running GPS and telematics on the buses. So there's two components to this: hardware side of it, the telematics. But I think a lot of contractors and the municipalities are already running that. So the OnCommand connection is just kind of the link to be able to upload all that to get to this, these screens to be able to dive into what the issues are. So, I would open it up. If anybody on the call has got any interest in this, please reach out to your salesperson, and we'll set up a one-on-one to be able to go into it a little more in depth, talk about some different options and some pricing and things like that. So.
One other thing is we can, this presentation, maybe they need to send you an email so that you can send it back to them. Just thought.
Jen, we got all that information, correct?
Yeah, I can handle that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you email Neal, they can send you this presentation. Once again, if you're excited about this and you want to take that step forward, and you need support, the Neal team is there to support you, and certainly myself or Billy Roberts would be happy to work with you guys. Also, DJ took this chance with us on OCC Telematics, and he's been doing it now for 5 years, and he's one of my pets, quote. But I took you guys today from Maryland to Michigan in a matter of minutes, and we can pick up any one of those vehicles, whether it's a Thomas bus, it's a Bluebird, or it's an IC bus, it's ours, and we can help you go through the diagnostics and with this type of technology. So.
Very good. Thank you, Alan. And on behalf of Neal Truck and Bus, myself and our staff here, we thank everybody who got on the call today. We're going to try to do more of these, as we go along, that, hopefully we'll get to some sort of normalcy here shortly, to where we'll have some in-person meetings back again. But we did want to kind of reach out to some people with this. But again, we do have your email address. We'll send out the presentation deck. And, we're going to do a $250 gift card. So we'll notify